Throughout my years pursuing art, there's one thing I've had to do time and time again. Something they never mentioned to me in art school. I never saw it in a textbook, and even more unexpected, I've never heard it talked about within the community or even the industry. Now, I don't think it's some small kept secret, I just think it hasn't become part of a larger discussion. Yet, it stands to be one of the greatest skills required of an artist for success. And I'd like to discuss this with you. What I have to reveal to you is not something that will rewrite your brain. But I do believe that if this is the first time it's being brought to light for you, that it will forever change how you pursue your career. This soft skill is something I never intended to learn about, study, practice, or even pay attention to. Regardless, I found myself getting better and better at it despite my lack of conscious awareness of it. However, since noticing it, I discovered that I'm not the only one doing it. That my way of doing it is not the only way it's being done. And also, that it was and is a single common thread sewn between every successful artist in all of time. It's important for you to understand that this is merely a concept, not a quick tip or some secret sauce. You will have to study and practice to find how this applies uniquely to you. Unfortunately, this is not something that's going to level up your work or translate to a great Instagram post that will gain you a ton of followers. In fact, this is something your followers should never notice. Yet it stands to be the reason that they ever see your greatest work. It's nothing tangible. It's nothing sexy. It's just another soft skill. A lesson in interpersonal achievement. The truth of the matter is that some soft skills are 10 times more important than any hard skill you'll ever perfect. These intuitions learned through college years may be more valuable to your career than any piece of gear. Fear not, self-taught. These skills can be learned while on the job or in other practice. These are life skills. Things like communicating your ideas, dealing with bosses, thinking under pressure, and allowing outside influence into your work. All of these skills are fundamental to your success, and as an industry, we know this. We talk about this. Yet there's still one more that manages to evade the topic of all conversation. And that's because it's somewhat controversial. And I think it deserves coverage. I believe this is partially due to the fact that there are scarcely any resources to peruse when searching for advice on how to navigate the world of art. It's all so vague out here. How do you build a fan base of people willing to pay for your work? How do you explain a project you're working on without just showing your work? How do you convince others to buy into your creative ideas when the whole basis for creativity is to challenge convention and to do your own thing? How do you describe a perspective of a subjective experience that's been abstracted? How do you tell art? There are no guides to survival within the art industry. If there were, this would undoubtedly be a chapter of its own. Instead, all we can do is practice to perfect and analyze those who came before us. I've painted the picture. You understand the industry. So, what's this skill? The thing that nobody talks about in the art industry is that skill counts for nothing unless you're able to convince others to like what you make. And I'm sure you'd say, well, I can't convince anyone to like something they don't like. Okay then. Follow the trends and give the people what they want, what they know they like. Just copy the successes that you see. Do not attempt to make anything new. Do not attempt to change their minds. They don't want you, right? Or instead, you could ask yourself, how do I make them want something new? Something you. Your thoughts, your perspectives, your work. allow me to take this moment to thank today's video sponsor, Medium Film Lab. Medium Film Lab is Alaska's one-stop shop for film developing and digitizing. And little known secret, it's ran by yours truly. After the owner of our last remaining lab decided to retire, I didn't have a choice but to learn to develop my film for myself. Once I got the hang of it, I started developing for my friends, and then their friends, and then their friends. Soon enough, I was just the local go-to guy. Seeing that there was clearly a want and a need for my services, I quit my day job to dive into this thing full stop. Now, almost 5 years later, I'm partnered with our local camera store in downtown Anchorage, and I'm producing results that would rival any decent mini lab. Yeah, it's a small feat for some, but I'm really happy to be able to provide for my small town and keep the locals here shooting film. I get to help people test out their new gear, show them what weird batteries they need, teach them how to use a light meter, and help make shooting film more fun for everyone. I honestly enjoy getting to meet my customers and nerding out about all things analog. It feels good to actually be a part of and help build a community. Now, of course, I can't sponsor my own content. That's just what making YouTube videos is. So, in a roundabout sort of way, I owe the thanks to the local analog enthusiasts who kept bringing me their film. Quitting my job to do this full time made it possible for me to pursue YouTube, which has been a dream of mine since I was a kid. So, a huge thank you to all the locals who continue to choose to support me. Not only do you keep my lights on, but you allow me to share my ideas with the world, one video at a time. So again, thank you for your support. Now, back to the video. So far in my career, the question that I get asked the most is, how do I become a photographer? You know, like you. To which I always respond, start introducing yourself as one. And I know this sounds like some awful non-answer, but I promise you there's value in it. This answer illustrates that you can't wait around for people to start calling you a photographer before you start calling yourself one first. By telling everyone you're that camera guy, later on when they think of you, they think, that camera guy. And I think this makes it perfectly clear what soft skill it is that I'm talking about. You must tell them what they think, so they'll think it. Without your artist mind to alliterate, how could they come to such a conclusion? Communicating your belief in your own work can illustrate to others that this is not just some hobby for you. This shift in dynamics over who's in charge of your perception is something that you'll never hear about in school. Now, pardon my pop culture reference, but this concept reminds me a lot of when Tom Riddle first asked about the Horcrux. Because the answer is dangerous. A beautiful dance between narcissistic, arrogant boasting and universal, genuine self-belief. You must consider your power, your authority, and responsibility over your own perception. And then you must ask yourself how anyone will ever see you as a great if you do not assert yourself as one first. To be clear, I'm not saying to manipulate the masses into believing that your work is great when it really isn't. That's how you get industry trolls like Supreme. What I'm talking about is taking work that you wholeheartedly believe in and are genuinely passionate about and convince others that what you feel about it is not stupid or whimsical or useless. How do you convince them that your unique approach is cool and valuable and needed? Not all great work is easily understood. Much of it challenges us to think deeper and question our simple convictions. So how do you convince them to step willingly into your unknowns? How do you get them to follow you outside of their comfort zone? It's one thing to talk about your work with excitement and enthusiasm, but consider the professional world's dogmatic adherence to strict formal conduct. The artist does not belong in the boardroom. So then, how do you translate? My advice, don't. Keep their confusion. Let them jump. You are the artist. Tarkovsky, Basquiat, Dali, Tchaikovsky, the visionary, the untamed, the eccentric. We all decided that they were seeing something we weren't. They created the unconvention. But it's not like you'd ever just see or hear their work and think, ah, yes, I love this. There's an element of understanding them, the artist, and filtering their work through your idea of them based on their idea of themselves. How else would Jackson Pollock, Wes Anderson, and Vivian Maier become so household? Of course, your work must stand on its own despite your convincing of others. All talk in a vacuum is just that. But an element of excitement, anticipation, or expectation can make even regular work feel greater than it is. It's the rise before the drop. Give your audience just enough to understand why and what it is you're attempting to do. Make them want to see what it is you're up to. Make them admire you. Is it psychological exploitation and manipulation, or is it just intelligent direction through friendly conversation? You must consider that your work includes how they choose to see it, how they see you. So guide their eye. Tell them where to stand. Do not lie to them, but paint the picture so, leaving just a few spaces empty, so that when they see it, finally, they understand it. Lead them. Leave them breadcrumbs. Navigating the trials of selling yourself to others without coming off as some self-indulged auteur with a scarf and a cardigan is something you won't hear about in art school or read in a textbook. Yet it's one of the most difficult tasks asked of you as a creator. It has the power to build your career and make you an icon, or build a hideous reputation that clouds and reigns over your work. It's your job as an artist to create the work, but also, and equally important, to sell it. You must convince others to care about you and your work. You must convince them that you are actively pursuing true greatness before they'll ever consider you're approaching it. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, this is a personal channel all about what it takes to be a creative professional artist. This could be from ideology and philosophy to inspiration and practical skills. This channel is designed to be both relaxing and thought-provoking, and to serve as a guide to how to approach being an artist, how to think creatively and practically. I hope this episode sheds some light on what I think to be one of the most difficult tasks as an artist that I have to do on a daily basis. To tell somebody something that I think is creative or boundary pushing, and them care enough to listen and not think that it's just some whimsical idea, that has the potential for greatness. Sorry if the wind gets the best of the audio for this video. The location was way too good to pass up for some wind, so I did the best I could. If you know anyone who would love to be an artist but is having a hard time kind of breaking into a market or finding a place that they feel they fit, send them this video. Any like, comment, share, subscribe, all that stuff makes a huge difference for me, because right now I'm just trying to get this channel monetized. That's my biggest goal right now. So if you know anyone that would love this channel, please send them this. But once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.